Hey, welcome to vosNET-Cyber. I'm VosMan, and today this is going to be the first of a whole string of videos I hope to put together for you to show you what I do as a cybersecurity consultant to try and keep track of all of the information that I've learned over the years, and a place to store archive data that I don't use anymore, and something that you can use to set yourself up, test lab VMs and things like that that you can then hack away at and practice at your leisure. So what do we do? So what I do is I have an ESXi host on my network, and I set this up a while ago and I haven't done anything with it. So let's dive on in and take a look at what we've got and how we're going to update it and get it ready for use in the future. Let's go. I'll see you on the box. Okay, so here we are. We've logged in to the ESXi host that I have on my network, and as you can see, it's currently running ESXi 6.5 update to build number. I switched on again a couple of about a day and a bit ago, according to this. And as you can see, it comes up with a little informational here that says it's potentially vulnerable to issues described in a CVE number here. So that kind of indicates to me, obviously, that this particular version of ESXi is vulnerable to something. I haven't looked this up. I don't know what it's vulnerable to, but we do know that 6.5 build 2 is vulnerable to something, and it's also massively behind the latest update, which is, I think, ESXi 7 actually, but I don't think I'm gonna try and get it up to this, to 7 anyway, not just yet anyway. But what I thought I'd do is I would show you exactly what you need to go through to update an ESXi host, because it's not always intuitive, and the VMware website doesn't always give you very good information. I mean, it's got plenty of information about, you know, what updates there are and all that kind of stuff, but I find that it's not particularly intuitive for anybody, even system engineers and stuff like that. It can take a bit of time. So I thought I'd show you how you do it, how you go about it. So this host, as you can see right now, has no virtual machines on it. It's got a bit of storage, nothing really going on networking. This is pretty much a flat install. There's not much else really going on. I'll show you the data stores quickly, because that will become relevant sooner or later. And as you can see, the data store browser, you click on up there, brings you into here. And now this is the main hard drive, and these two other down here will be two other hard drives that I have in my ESXi host. And on the main data store 1, I've got a few bits and pieces that I've left on here from a long time ago, but on the others you can see it's all blank. And what I'm planning on doing is the main storage, I'm going to set up probably an own cloud instance or something like that, so I can store a load of archive files and stuff like that I don't need anymore, just to keep it in sort of like cold storage, and I'll be using that, and hopefully that'll come up in another video for you guys. And then testing VMs, we'll set up virtual machines and everything on there, and maybe set up a few labs and things like that, and we'll explore that in another few videos to come. So what do? So we'll go back to the host. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get this host ready for updating. Now to do that, we need to put the ESXi host into maintenance mode, which you'll find here under actions. Let's give that a good click and then click yes. And as you can see, the icon now over here has changed with a little warning bar thing on it. And so this is now in maintenance mode, so it's not connected. It says it's not connected to any vSAN server, all that kind of stuff. But this is only a standalone version anyway. So after that, what we need to do is we need to go down to services and enable secure shell SSH on this box. You will see this warning come up to let you know that it's been activated, and now this box is pretty much ready for the updates and everything that we need to do on it. So how do we do that? Well, we've opened SSH, we've put it into maintenance mode. So what we'll do is we will now SSH into the box, and we'll use esxcli to interact with the box and get it to do a few bits and pieces and pull down an update, hopefully, and we'll get it updated with any luck. Now I'll show you how to do that in just a second, but before we do that, I'd like to just quickly jump on to the VMware page for the update builds that they've got on here, and as you can see, it gives you a good list of when they were released and the build numbers and things like that. Now I wanted to show you this because actually when it comes to trying to figure out which update you actually want to download and get installed, using this could be useful, but I've also found that actually it's also not as helpful sometimes either, because these build numbers don't always tie up to the build numbers and the reference numbers that you're going to see in a second when we SSH onto the box and try and pull these update file names to try and work it out. So as I showed you before, we're on update 2, and I would like to try and get up to update 3 at some in this process, because as of right now there is no way to actually sorry, we're not on that one, are we? We're on update 3 is here. This is the one I want to get to. We're on update 2 at the moment on 6.5, which is all the way down here somewhere probably, is it? I can't even see it now. There's update 1. Patch 02? It might be somewhere, update 2. It's around here. This will be update 2, I think. So we know that we're on that anyway. And as you can see, the build number doesn't actually correspond to this number, which is what we would like to see on here, but it's not actually on this list. But anyway, as of right now, there is no way to update from 6.5 patch 2 up to 6.7. So we're going to have to update to patch 3 or above and then go from there. So I just wanted to show you that as a quick aside anyway. So right now we'll jump over to the box on SSH and I'll show you what we need to do from there. Okay, and here we are on the box, and as you can see I'm logged in as the SSH user. Normally I would suggest you don't use the root user, but as this is a box on my home network, I'm not too fussed, not too worried about the security, so I'm going to continue probably using the root user. But otherwise I would suggest you give yourself another administrator account and lock down the root account for security reasons, but that's best practices. And like I say, on my local network I'm not too concerned about any sort of problems with that, and plus I'm using a fairly secure string for the password anyway. So like I say, we're on the box and I'm using something called Git BASH to be able to do this. I'll put a link in the description for that. I recommend it personally. I like to run it on a Windows machine, which I'm on at the moment, to use the command line. It's very similar to a normal Linux bash shell. It's not entirely the same, but it gives you that good feeling, and it comes with an SSH client built into it as well anyway, so you don't have to use things like PuTTY or any other sort of SSH client application on your Windows host. But feel free to use whatever you want to do. If you're following along with this on your own ESXi host, you log in however you need to. But the first things we need to do is, I've got a couple of commands, and one of the first ones is this one here. I'll let you guys pause the video if you need to. It's esxcli network firewall rule set list, and what that's going to do is going to bring back a list of the current firewall rules that are enabled and disabled on here. And the one we're looking for is httpClient right here, and it's currently set to false. We need to set that to true because we need to be able to allow the host to receive HTTP requests inbound on this, because we need to query the VMware website to get the patch updates and stuff like that. So to do that, we are going to run another command here, which I will copy and paste in to save myself a bit of time. And here we go again. I'll let you pause if you need to, but it's esxcli network firewall rule set tac E for enabled to true, tac R for rule, HTTP client. So we're going to enable the HTTP client, and again, if we run that last command, you should now see on your box as well that the rule has now been set to true, which is exactly as we want it. Now the next thing we want to do is try and figure out exactly which patch we actually want. This is where it can be a bit tricky. So what we can do now is, if you type in this command, what this will do is it will query the VMware repositories and give you a list of all of the production updates that are available for ESXi right now on their servers. The problem is this is going to bring back every single update that there is, and we don't need all of them. Obviously, we just need to be going from anything above update 2 on 6.5, so we don't need anything before that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I've run this a few times before in the past, and for some reason the normal grep sort of doesn't seem to work. It may be just because the ESXi is cut down, even though it looks like it should work. It doesn't when I try to use extended grep versions. But so what I'm going to do is use a couple of grep commands now to filter that out a bit. So what we're going to be looking for is ESXi, and I've used the TACI there just because to ignore the case, and we're looking for 6.5, and we're also going to be looking for the word standard as well, because we want the updates that come with all the tools and all the good stuff. So now when you run this command, it does take a little bit of time to come back, usually about a minute or so. So I'm going to cut the video after I press enter here, and we'll cut back when I've got the list of updates. Okay, so here we are. Here's the list, filtered down now by the versions that we need, and what we are looking for is a patch that is above February 2019. I mean, this one could be good. 2020. I don't know how close that. I mean, how far that gets up. So we've got 2020 10 04, 2020 11. There's a 2020 3001 up here. Doesn't help that they're not in order. I should have sorted them really by number if I could, but we're here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for, go for this one, this patch here. I'm going to go for that. 2020 1104, that's the one we'll go for. So what we need is the command now to download, which I have ready and waiting in the wings for us right here. Again, I'll let you guys pause the video, but I'm going to go for where did we say this one? 2020 11. We'll go for this one. We'll try this. And we'll paste that down here. So that's what we want, and that's what we're going to download. And that should hopefully update to that file. And let's see what happens when we go for that one. And this is the command that you use to download the update software and install it onto ESXi. All being lucky, we should get that to update now. So I'm going to cut the video and I'll show you what happens when that completes. So as you see here, it finally came back, and what we've got is an error saying there's no space left on the device. And from what I understand, this is basically ESXi doesn't have permissions to be able to write the update file to anywhere, like temporary or anything like that, to be able to update and install the update software. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly flick back over to ESXi, and whilst we're in here now, we're going to go back to host up here, and we can click on manage, and we go down to system, swap, and the data store here is the one that we need to change. So we're going to edit the settings, and in data store, if we go to data store 1, we want to set a swap space for that on that data store. I think you can use any of the data stores that you've got, but because this is the main hard drive that's running the ESXi, that's the one I'm going to put it on. So we're going to click save, and as you can see, that's now been put in there. So now if we jump back to the SSH shell on the box and we run that same command again, it should in theory work. So let's go, and I'll cut to when that's finally done, because it will take a few minutes. Okay, so it's finally done its thing, and it's come back with this whole bunch of stuff. And if we go back up, we can see the result is the update completed successfully, but the system needs to be rebooted for the changes to be effective, and reboot required is true, and all of the VIBs that have been installed. So before we reboot this, we should just set everything back to how it should be, which is with the firewall set to false. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go back through the list. Here we go. And we can just quickly set this to false. And there we go. So we're now back to false on that. And if we just type in reboot, the box will now reboot. And what I'll do is I'll cut the video and we'll jump back to the ESXi install when it's all finished and rebooted. Okay, so the box is now restarted and I've logged back in, and as you can see we are now on update 3 on 6.5, which is exactly what we wanted. That's exactly where I needed to get it to, and I'm going to continue on with this now to get it up to 6.7. Once you have rebooted, obviously you'll probably want to come down here and disable secure shell if it's still on, and obviously exit out of maintenance mode, and you're good to go. That is how you update an ESXi box. And obviously this is with a HTTP or internet connection. So now if your box is on an isolated network somewhere, there is an offline way of doing this, and you'll need to go to the VMware website and you'll need to log in, register, all that kind of stuff, and eventually you'll get to a box or a page that looks like this. And what you want to do is you want to look for the offline bundle, download that, and once you've downloaded that offline bundle, you can then flick back to your ESXi machine, go to your data store browser, upload it onto your box somewhere. Maybe I'd probably stick it in there, update or something like that, and then you'll need to quickly, let me just quickly go back here, because I'll need to show you this, I'll need to quickly switch on SSH again. Let me quickly log back into my box. Okay, so I'll quickly switch over to my box now. Okay, so we're back on my ESXi box through SSH, and what we will need to do that update, if you had a offline bundle that you downloaded and brought into your environment and uploaded it to your ESXi box, you would need this command, esxcli software vib update tacd volumes VMS or VMFS volumes, and then on my machine here we've got data store 1. For instance, that's potentially where I could have put it. I think it was ISOs, then update, and then you'd have your update file in there and you'd select that. That would be the command that you would want to run. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, it would just update as normal, and then obviously you'll just log back in, reboot, log back in, switch everything back to as it was, non-maintenance mode, make sure SSH turned off, and you're good to go. Well, that just about covers it for you, I think. That is how you update an ESXi box with internet connection, and also a brief summary there for you as well on how to do it if you have to do it on an offline bundle as well. Hopefully you found it interesting, hopefully helpful as well. And in the next couple of videos I'll show you how we set up some virtual machines doing bits and pieces that I would normally use and I would recommend as a cybersecurity consultant. Also, whilst you're here, don't forget to check out the vosNET gaming channel. I'll put a link for that in the description, and maybe there'll be a link at the end of the video as well for you to go and check out. Also, I'll chuck in those commands as well in the description for you, and any other relevant bits of information that might be useful. Okay, well, take care of yourselves out there, be good to each other, be kind, and I will see you in the next one. This is vosman, signing out.